Well, the Texas Longhorns, dominated the Florida Gators. There's no other way to put it. It was just absolute annihilation from start to finish. It was brutal. We'll talk about it on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. I am Brandon Olsen, your host. You can find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI.com. If I sound nasally or if I sneeze, apologies. I ran out of the allergy medication I taken, so I'm really jacked up right now. But not more jacked up than the Florida Gators got by the Texas Longhorns, where, look, for the first 8 to 10 minutes of the game, we'll say, it wasn't the worst. Defense looked pretty good, and then nothing looked good. Things got out of hand really quickly. I will say, for the offense, I respect the approach of saying, hey, we have to throw the football with Aidan Warner. I don't care if he's a redshirt freshman walk-on transfer quarterback from Yale. No matter what it is, we have to throw the football with him, and I respect that fully. I also respect the idea that, hey, Texas was being pretty aggressive. Play action shots, we had open receivers at times. But one, he was missing them. And two, well, you simply ran too many play action shots, specifically on first down. And the reason I say that is when you get yourself into a 2nd and 10 situation, I'll get to the chat in a second. When you get yourself into 2nd and 10 situations, it's really hard to convert on 2nd and 10 to anything on 3rd down. It's really difficult, especially when after you take that play action shot, you then run the ball on 2nd and 10. Again, just statistically, analytically, I don't care what metric you want to use. Cam Ward just fumbled. Georgia Tech is picking up the football. It's Georgia Tech's football with under 2 minutes left. They're up 5, 2 timeouts remaining. So could go Georgia Tech's way. But yeah, when you put yourself into 2nd and 10 situations, the odds of you converting are really rough. So I understand saying, hey, 1st and 10, we could take a shot here. They're going to be doing whatever they're doing, that where we might have people open, which you did at times. But then toward the end of the game, or even not toward the end of the game, when the game was getting a nail put in the coffin in the second quarter, Texas was pretty used to it at that point. Aidan Warner played poorly, which again, I look at Aidan Warner playing poorly as just, what did you expect from a redshirt freshman walk-on transfer quarterback from Yale, right? That absolutely, if that's your starting quarterback, you're probably going to get blown out against Texas. However, it is Billy Napier's fault that that's your starting quarterback in this game, that's your QB3. And I'm not saying, because I know everybody's like, well, it's hard to have a blue chip QB3 in the transfer portal. I'm not saying you've got to have this elite QB3 right now. But there's a massive drop-off from even a 3-star kid to Aidan Warner. And again, I'm not knocking him at all. He is what he is. He plays his heart out. I don't care about, look, he plays his heart out. That's enough for me. My issue is that Billy Napier has put you in a situation where that's what you have as your starting quarterback. I understand it's incredibly difficult. I would have liked to see Florida run the football more often early, because Florida, numbers wise, they looked like they ran all over Texas, right? They had 41 carries, 200 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. But so much of that came in either when Texas was playing backed off, or when they were playing with their second string, or both. And so the numbers are going to be inflated. I would have liked to see Florida run the football more early on and force you as Texas to stop the run. And I would have liked to see more of that. And you could tell early on that Florida was very intent on, we are going to throw the football to keep us from being one-sided. Which, again, I respect that. I think that you did some things too often that just weren't smart decisions, and that kind of shot you in the foot a little bit. And then things just spiraled down, right? Coverage was bad in this game. This was the worst game we've seen from the secondary in a very long time. Pass rush was looking good early on, and then they weren't. The run game, I mean, sure, Florida looked like they ran all over Texas, right? 41 carries, 200 yards. Texas had 210 yards on 31 carries. Like, they were more explosive. You gave up so many explosive plays here that it was just, you put yourself in from what was a pretty impossible game to win anyway, to definitely impossible for you to win. It was just brutal, ugly, downright bad, right? And so I think for Florida, you could say, hey, we were probably losing this game anyway, but I don't think coaching helped you win it. And Texas showed you from the offset of the game that they were not going to respect you. Going forward on 4th and we'll say 1, even if it was shorter than that, whatever, from their own 20 when it was 0-0, if I'm not mistaken. You know why they did that? Because from what they've seen from Florida's offense at that point, they were like, hey, this team's going to be settling for field goals if they're scoring at all. So we'll go for it. They'll settle for a field goal, and we'll walk away with the victory. And things like that. Like, they're going to do that. I see you guys talking in the chat. We'll get to the chat in a second, right after the break. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is a tool to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And LinkedIn isn't just another job board. Georgia Tech's going to win this game, assuming they don't screw up a knee, which would be ironic. But LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They help you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open for the perfect role. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So you can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth, and these generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free right on the podcast and on YouTube. And we are going to get to the chat for the remainder of this. It's not going to be long. Like I said, I'm very congested. Georgia Tech has beaten Miami. So Miami goes from 9-0, ranked number 4, to 9-1 after a loss to unranked Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech students are storming the field. Miami's still probably going to be a playoff team because they likely still going to win the ACC, I would expect. But now we're going to get to the chat here. Nobody should be surprised. First loss in my long career that I feel absolutely nothing, could care less. I think a lot of fans feel that way. I think that when you put out that statement about Billy Napier keeping his job, a lot of fans started feeling that way. And I don't know if they put out the statement because they were like, hey, we're probably going to get blown out against Texas. We need to ensure everybody. But yeah, it's the second time that Scott Strickland has publicly committed to mediocrity. And that is what it is. First one being Mike White, who he signed a contract extension with after he didn't earn it, in my opinion. This is poverty. Scott Strickland is done. He should have been done. One more year with a smiley face. Yep. I don't know if you're a rival fan that's genuinely happy or if you're a Florida fan that's sarcastically saying that. But either way, yeah. This is the guy that deserves another year. My God, our program is okay. You guys have to stop cursing in the chat because I will Ron Burgundy this show one day. And I need to not Ron Burgundy the show. My God, our program is an effing joke. We deserve everything we get, and too many dumb A people will fill the stadium next week. I will say, As far as people saying, hey, you should not buy tickets, not do this, not do that, I'm seeing far too many people that say that because I don't think it's true. I think Florida has enough of a fan base of people that just want to see the Gators play that they will always fill the seats. I don't think you'll see an empty swamp, regardless of how much they deserve to have an empty swamp there. I will also say I know that the commentators were, Jesse Palmer was just, this is good. They're playing hard. Like, you played for Florida. You should have a higher expectation than they're playing hard in losses. Jesse Palmer also, well, he had to put out that statement because he was going to start impacting recruiting. Do you think recruiting isn't already impacted? They're 51st in the country right now. We're way past it's going to start impacting recruiting. This is just embarrassing. It always takes Quinn Ewers a series or two to figure it out. He's a slow starter. Yes, but also he struggled this season specifically with disguised coverages and disguised pressures, and Florida was doing that early on effectively. It's just later on they stopped doing that. Team played hard and played with effort. That's all that matters, right? Look, the team did play hard and play with effort. I give the team that credit. Okay, I give the team credit for playing hard and playing with effort, regardless of what the situation may be. However, that's not a good enough reason to keep Billy Napier as your head coach. If they're playing hard and with effort but losing games consistently, I don't care, right? Like, kudos to them. The players deserve it, but they also deserve better than what they're getting from their head coach. Tony turned it off at halftime. I don't doubt you. Yep, Georgia Tech has beaten Miami, which is great. Florida passed way too much early in the game. Yep, passed way too much early in the game, specifically on early downs as well. Just was never going to work that way. I'm not saying Florida would have found success on the ground throughout the entirety of the game, but if you wanted a chance at winning this game, you had to at least commit to that early on, and they didn't do that. And also, blowout should have gotten way out of hand earlier because Texas had multiple drops on what should have been touchdowns. Secondary looked horrendous this week. It was just bad. And like, here's the thing. You started Triquez Bridges at one of the corner spots. He had a couple coverage busts, but there's a reason he moved from corner to safety, right? There's a reason he did that because he shouldn't be at corner. That's not on him. He's sacrificing putting out good film at safety so that he can play corner because the team needs it. Cormani McClain didn't play well. We didn't expect Cormani, or at least I didn't expect Cormani McClain to play basically at all this year. I don't fault Cormani for not playing well. Like, look, this is the part where you say, oh, like, injuries piled up and that sucks. Yeah, some spots, injuries piling up, they suck and injuries will pile up, and having injuries at those positions makes winning damn near impossible. But I also do think that Florida having Aidan Warner at QB3 is a flaw from an organizational standpoint, not from his talent standpoint. I think it's a flaw from an organizational standpoint. So it comes down to Billy there. Some guys didn't play well that we didn't expect to be on the field. I understand next man up mentality. Absolutely. Right. What I don't like is that people say, oh, next man up. And by the way, you can't have a talent drop off. I don't think that's a good approach to have because I don't think it's realistic. I think you're only setting yourself up for disappointment at that point. At least that's how I feel about it. Basement Billy's in a good spot. The boosters don't want to pay $26 million. Yep. They're accepting mediocrity. That's what they're doing. Texas realized Florida couldn't stop the pass and it was over. Too many easy passes for Texas. Texas would have had, if they didn't drop it. Tackling was bad. Miami didn't really play anybody this season, but that doesn't matter. You play who's in front of you, and they won all those games up until today. So it doesn't really matter. To me, that's how I stand. That's how I feel about things either way. I don't like using strength of schedule to go, oh, well, they're undefeated. You beat who's in front of you, right? And oftentimes with your out-of-conference schedule, it's decided years in advance. Like, you don't know if they're going to be good or not. I don't think Napier cares how much he loses because he's promised another year. Strickland on the sideline was sweet. Watching that D-bag just be there for it, it did give me a little bit of solace to know that he looked like a complete jackass. Did give me solace there. Also, that reminds me, because you said Strickland is on the sideline was so sweet. Here's my theory. Florida, first off, they don't care about your opinions anyway. And by you, I mean just the fan base, myself included. But they don't know how much people hate Strickland because people keep putting Strickland, and so it's not showing up as Strickland. And so that's my theory there, at least. If you keep buying the product, then it won't change. It's like any other business. Yeah, pretty much. People keep saying it was a good idea to keep him because of Lagway coming back. It's not. Yep. I don't think that you should keep anybody for any player. I just don't think that's a good approach. It was what it was. Warner's out of his depth, and we all knew. Shouldn't be all that upset. I'm not upset about Warner or this game. I'm more upset that Warner is your QB3. And let's keep this also. I know people keep going, oh, but the era of the portal, it's tough to have a good QB3. Sure, let's use that argument. Why doesn't Florida have a good QB3, though? Marcus Stokes had an off-field situation. They pulled his scholarship, right? Okay. Jaden Rashada had the NIL situation, so he left. You missed your evaluation on Jack Miller III 2 years ago. You seemingly missed your evaluation on Clay Millen if Clay Millen is QB4 right now behind Aidan Warner. You have a bad quarterback situation because you have a bad quarterback situation because you're bad at handling the overall quarterback situation. Like, that's why. I understand saying, oh, it's hard to have a good QB3 in the NIL era. Sure, but you have a bad QB3 because you built this team that way. You had too many mistakes and too many miscues there. Napier's so trash. His entire success rate is both around one player. How many of these guys will return? Not many. And I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue as people think it is. Because, again, I don't like Billy, but, I mean, you see Hayden on this show every week, every Wednesday, and he's super bought in. And a lot of this roster is clearly still playing hard. Like, I hate teams. The kids are playing hard as a reason to keep Billy, right? But that doesn't change that it's a good thing that the players are playing hard. Like, the fact that there's, like, we've seen teams and schools and players and coaches, we've seen players stop playing hard. That's not happening here. They're still playing hard, which is impressive, but not from a coach retention standpoint. So that's where I feel about that. There's a Gator fan literally arguing with me that Billy has improved. Stop arguing with that person. Just save your peace. Protect your peace. Napier's cruising because he's guaranteed another year. Next man up, and that the man needs to step up. Step up, sure, but like I don't think it's fair to expect that reasonably. People talking about us returning a talented team next year. So if these guys not going to transfer, I don't know. They like Billy. Yep. Florida alumnus announcers are fickle for Billy. Jesse Palmer was let's say way off with some of the things he said about this team. Napier's proven to us who he really is. Yep. Hopefully the basketball coach stuff will get the AD and Billy fired. I mean, just clean house the entire program. It's just brutal right now. I agree with you because there's no good reason to keep Billy. Yeah, Q. Yeah, wrong. No good reason to keep Billy. What, his recruiting class? His product on field? Okay. If you feel either of those things, you're not a kind of person that I even feel I need to have a discussion with. That's where you stand. That's it. You can't argue recruiting. You can't argue product on field. You can only argue culture, which is great. Like, to have a good culture. If you have a good culture and it's a losing team, I don't give a damn about your culture. I need good culture, but I need you to win football games as well. That's where I stand. Like, I think you need good culture anywhere. That's just where I stand. I know that that's a very naive, we'll say, viewpoint on the realism here, but it's always something I'm going to want to achieve. But I need wins with it. At least have a backup QB with an arm or one that's mobile. That's what I think every team should have a QB where maybe he sucks at throwing the ball, but you can look at him and say, well, even if we have too many, like if injuries do pile up and we're kind of screwed, we have a kid that can run an option offense for us. Like, I think that should be a thing that every team does. Billy has a Tecmo Bowl playbook. Not even that. I don't even know what he has. He has like a Pop Warner, New York Pop Warner too, where it's like all bad playbook. It's like 3 years of losing, worst coach. Yep, he's guaranteed a fourth year. Yep. Yep. 4 losing years is very likely for Florida, as in if you include Dan Mullen's last year and Billy Napier's first 3, it's very likely Florida's going to have losing seasons 4 years in a row. It's brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. I've been a Gator fan since I was 9. I'm 28 now, and this is the worst I've ever seen this program ever. This is Joshua, I'm also 28. Been a Gators fan a little longer than that. I don't know. I think it was like 3 or 4 when I started caring. Like as in when I first ever asked for like a Gator thing. But yep, I agree with you as far as from what things I remember and how bad things have been. Yeah. If they fire some of the coaches he has on staff, they can buy Billy out. No, because you typically need to pay those coaches when you fire them as well. So yeah, we suck. You're right, Sam. You're right. There it is. There is this. It took Alex Ferguson to win his first title at Manchester United. Nope. It's not. It's not at all going to take him a long time. He's not doing it. Seeing the Golden stuff, he's gone, and Strickland too. Hopefully they're all gone. We'll wrap this up in a second. I just want to say, as far as the Todd Golden stuff, my stance is if any of that is accurate or right, he should be gone. Simple as that. If any of it's right, I don't care. I know that people are just like, oh, it's just like texting or whatever. If you're doing anything non-consensually, you should be gone. I just want to make that abundantly clear. I don't care how many games he wins. Eli, run up middle, play action. Well, that's the thing. He didn't even do that today. He was running play action shot, run, and then punt. It was worse than usual. We look like a different team compared to the Georgia game, minus the last 4 minutes. What changed? Lagway, of course, Strickland out, like Billy was saying. Pretty much, yeah. I feel like it was like, all right, well, hey, I'm coming back. Why care, right? Can Strickland be fired isn't a stable president? Yes. The board of trustees can fire Scott Strickland. They need to have a, I believe, unanimous vote. And I mean, screw him too. They had a vote. It wasn't unanimous. I don't know when they can re-vote. Like, I don't know if there's a cooling off period, we'll say, but they had a vote earlier in the season and it was not unanimous. So they couldn't get rid of him. Do players really love I'm assuming you mean Billy? Yeah, I think they do. I think they really do love Billy. Like, I want to make this clear. The way I felt about it, even last year when people started calling for his job, I don't care how you feel about Billy or how I feel about Billy. Every player I've spoken to has really been bought in on Billy. Even guys that have left that I've spoken to love Billy. They just didn't want to play for this coach. Like, they didn't think this coaching staff was right for them. But they still love Billy. I don't know any players that really hate Billy. Our new slogan for Gators Athletic, it's always some new... See, here's the thing, Zaire. Here's the thing. First off, thank you for the super chat, but also because it was a super chat, I was so intent on reading every word, and I almost Ron Burgundy'd it. So thank you for the super chats here, but you're going to get me in trouble here. Never thought I would care about a university presidential. Yeah. Yep. It's tough, but we have to. What's up, Thomas? I'm happy that the fan base, what I am happy about is the heart of the fan base and our Locked On Gators host Locked On College, the 3 guys locked on thing. It's all good. So Billy sucks. Oh, well. Yeah. It's brutal. And look, I understand, like, this is not a fun time to be a Florida Gators fan. But, man, there is at least some promising talent on this team. I can't sit here and lie to you about anything. Like, I really can't sit here and lie to you about the future of the program. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how many parents are going to say, hey, can't play for Billy. But I will also say the overwhelming majority of parents that I've spoken to, even if they question Billy's talent as a coach, they still like him. But again, I think that from that perspective, they're golden. But I think from a fan perspective, we want wins. Like, I enjoy knowing that people generally like my coach, like people know my coach, like my coach. I enjoy knowing that players are playing hard for him. I need you to win some freaking football games, though, because I am tired of talking about Florida being bad and anything. Can Billy do anything in recruiting? He will do some things in recruiting. But I don't know how good they're going to be. Could have been a fan in the sanctioned era of the 80s. That was not good. At least there's an excuse, though. At least you could say, oh, hey, we had sanctions. Like, that's not even a thing here. Apologies, Brandon. However, how did this program and this university get here? The program and the University of Florida got here. I apologize if you hear yelling. My neighbor's kids just go nuts out there. The program got here because the upper administration doesn't give a damn about the program. Like, that's why the program is here. The upper administration does not give a damn about the program. They don't give a damn about winning. They just care about making money for themselves. And that's what they're going to do regardless of the results. Like, the Florida Gators have a massive fan base that are always going to sell out the stadium. They're always going to show up. They're always going to show out, right? Team is horrible. Everybody knew this game was going to be a blowout, or that the most likely option here was that, hey, this is going to be a really bad blowout. And Florida still had a bunch of fans at the Texas game, knowing probably going to be an ass whooping. Still had a bunch of fans there. That's why they don't care. That's why the upper administration don't care. So they're still going to get their money. They're still going to pay, like, they're still going to have their salary paid. They don't care. And they've got ultimate job security. Nobody gets fired at Florida, as in the upper administration. Nobody gets fired. They don't care. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about me. And they don't give a damn about the University of Florida. They care about themselves. That's why I've told you they're spineless, selfish losers. And they don't deserve to be representative of the Florida Gators brand, which, by the way, I also need to say this. I'm going to wrap up with this. I'm going to wrap up with this real quick before we go. Do not lower your expectations, okay? I know that there's a lot of people, like, I am not calling for Billy's job all the time because I know he's not getting fired. That's fine. That does not change that he should be fired. Do not lower your expectations of the University of Florida because the administration has lowered theirs, okay? Do not lower your expectations for anybody at anything because other people have lowered theirs, all right? If your expectations are, hey, win football games, then like your expectations should be win football games. If your expectation in your personal life is XYZ, then hold those expectations. Do not lower your expectations for anybody or anything. Do not give them the grace to think that mediocrity is accepted in the fan base. Sure, fan base can't do anything. Like, we can't really make the change, but that does not mean that you have to accept mediocrity as a fan. You can still be mad regardless of if Billy's coming back. You can still be mad about anything. Okay? Do not lower your expectations because Scott Strickland and the people in the UAA and all the administration of Florida are spineless losers, cowards that don't deserve their jobs or don't deserve their responsibility or the privilege of representing the university. Okay? They are spineless losers. You don't have to be. Okay? Make that abundantly clear. Do players really love Silly Billy? Yes, they are. I don't care. I will say this. Because and this is the last thing that we're talking about. Do players really love Silly Billy? What are they expected to say? Who are these guys who want to keep Silly Billy? I want to make this clear. I have spoken to many players off the record who have said some pretty damning things about Florida and have said some pretty damning things about assistant coaches that are, whether they're here or not, whether they're here still or not here anymore. I've spoken to a lot of players off the record about things. They still like Billy. Okay? Again, I've told you multiple times now. I've had multiple players go, you know what? Like, I believe Billy can get it done. He just needs time. Like, I hope he gets the time. And I hope he doesn't get fired because I know what the expectations are here at Florida. Whether or not you feel a certain way about that or agree with that, or if you go, hey, I'm kind of judging their decision-making, that's a different story. But they're still bought in. Zaire, thank you again for the super chat. 8-4 next year in season 4 for Napier is not acceptable. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Which, by the way, Jesse Palmer during the game was like, well, their schedule is going to be a lot easier next year because all the quarterbacks that are leaving the conference and leaving their schedule, so they should win more games there. That is such a loser mentality. Oh, you keep him because now you'll have a bunch of retention when your schedule gets easier. I don't give a damn if your entire schedule, all 12 games, are against teams 1 through 12. The expectation should be to win football games. There's too many spineless loser cowards that are around this program, and they need to be removed from the program. And there's too many spineless loser people who push the narrative that the program wants you to push. I've had the players' parents, the recruits' parents, the assistant coaches stuff go where they go, oh, well, the narrative around the program. You're helping push the narrative. I'm helping push my honest opinion, which is that this team deserves better and this program deserves better. I'm not changing that narrative for anybody, and I'm not telling you anything that people are like, hey, tell the people this. It's crazy. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. Everyone should be better around the program. And it's as simple as that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube, regardless of the results of the game. I am Brandon Olsen. We will be back next time to talk more Florida Gators football with Locked On Gators.